Hi, John Tierney here, Historic Graves Project, working on the Peter Robinson headstones and homesteads surveys for Ballyhowra development. And I'm up in Crean graveyard, which is also mid-Limerick. It's up on top of a hill. The village of Crean and Crossroads are down below us here. And this is the old medieval church site. The ruins of the church, I can't see them. But the graveyard is here, right on the brow of a hill. Lovely location. Limerick graveyards have these very nice entrance features. Cut limestone ashlar there. There must have been a contract or something done across the county, because an awful lot of the graveyards around here we've gone into have that type of a style. Very often there's a flatter section in the middle for a coffin rest. There's a new gate added down there, and there's a little altar with the Blessed Virgin that you've just seen. And where we are now is we're at the back of the graveyard, and we're facing due east. So there's Rain to our south, the Ballyhowra mountains to our south there, and all this rich mid-Limerick farmland. So a team of 8 people surveyed this graveyard. PJ Merrick, who's been on a lot of projects, he's been involved in the survey, and we've just been wrapping up the survey this morning. We've just under 50 numbers given out. We start the back left hand corner, we number left to right. So you can see, if you look through here, all these have the blue tag that we use as the identifiers. So every inscribed headstone gets a number. This is a Higgins headstone. Some of them were overgrown. We have record sheets filled out for all of these. This one coming forward, all you do there is you cut out the nettles, and you get down on your back and you read it with a torch, and that's a McQuaid. And these are Sheerans then. And that's a Sheeran Celtic cross. There's 10 standard grave types or grave monument types that we come across. Celtic cross or Celtic revival cross, like that one there. For it to be a Celtic cross, it has to have the base, the die, which is that bit there, the shaft, the ring, the cross, and the cap. That's very much a Celtic cross. Sometimes what happens is you'll get a headstone like that one over, which is a headstone with a ringed cross top, whereas this is very much your Celtic cross type. And then the rest of these ones here. This is a nice one that has double head, winged heads on it, and it's 1776. So for our Peter Robinson project, whatever family this was, Richard Dooley and his son, 1776. Let's say that went up 10 years later, so 1780s. You know, this is when the Peter Robinson families were still living in these vicinities, and this is the kind of good value headstone that would have gone up, nicely decorated there with a border and the really big, massive heads. Is it signed? No. Little snail there on that, erected by his son Patrick Dooley there at the bottom. So that's a beaut. That bump there, that's a ground vault. So I don't know I can't remember the name for that one, but he's been recorded too. An iron cross here. These would tend to be your 20th century crosses for your affordable headstone. In this case, John and Ellen Callan and Crean. I like that because it feels like it's homemade. R.I.P. Rest in peace, Requiescat in pace. And then down here, another early one. It's fallen. It lies in the grass, and it's a Mary McGrath. Now, it looks earlier than what it says, but it's saying 1841. So this would have been after the Peter Robinson emigration, before the famine, when the Irish population was absolutely hopping. There was a huge amount of people living in the country, but it was precarious, and there was a revolution going on in land holding and in land ownership, and the big landowners wanted these small tenant farmers off their land, and it turned into major conflict and major trouble, and the famine made it even worse. Echoes of today, really. This is, I can see here it's faint. I forgot to bring my torch, but there's 30 pieces of silver there, IHS. This could be one of those Joseph Bolster headstones. I was talking about him on a video yesterday. Cagney's. So Cagney, I'm told, is a good County Limerick surname. Fallen headstone here. Conservation wise, we leave them where they are. The graveyard is to keep its own character. It's not to be extremely tidy. It's not to be all in perfect condition. It's to reflect its age. And look at that for a beaut. IHS in a sort of a sunburst representing Christ. 1846. So there, the famine decimated the poorer people in the country, that population. Whereas some of us, the ones who are still here, I suppose, we come out of families who hung on. And I think what happened is opportunities arose in the decade after the famine for increasing farm size and things like that. And potentially that's what we're seeing here. There's a McCarthy, Ali McCarthy, A-L-L-Y. That's unusual. We don't normally see that as a shortened name. And PJ showed me a Rick, R-I-C-K. I've never seen a Rick on a headstone before. I presume it's just short for Richard. And here we are down at the edge of the site. So just trying to get my head around where the old ruined medieval church would have been. The church is usually somewhere in the middle of the site. These are all facing east. So the older headstones would be south of the ruined church. There's a break of slope here in front of me. There's a wee quarry, I think, down at the back there. I think it's a quarry. But here on this break of slope, I suppose if I was going to try and work out where there might be a medieval ruined church, it could be up here on the height just in front of us, or down here where this ground vault has after been. Well, she's half a ground vault and half a high vault. But you can see all the gravestones are down in the southern part of the graveyard, and there's a few only here in the north section. Now one thing before I go, I must go back to Atlaka where I was yesterday, that I want to show is this. This grass was probably cut once already this year, and what's after coming up now is a mixture of grass and vetch, and inside, and that's what we're meaning by biodiversity. This is what we want in our graveyards. We want a flora of grasses and other flowering plants for the pollinators, because our graveyards are little oases in the middle of heavily farmed, rich farmland, but they're farmed in a very modern way. Irish farmers are very, very modern, particularly dairy farmers, well, all farmers. And there's a certain regime run out there, and the graveyards here are often where the land can rest and isn't aiming for massive production levels. So part of what we're doing is we're looking to the past, but we're also looking to the future. If we have increased biodiversity inside in the graveyards and along our field boundaries, then that's all very positive, as well as trying to look after these places in terms of their meaning from the past and for the future. Okay, so I'm looking west, so heading over to West Limerick, over yonder. What's over there? Ballingarry, is it? As we go down the Boreen out, I might stop in a minute and just show one of the old farmhouses that's on the side of this Boreen, and that relates to another element of the project that we're doing as well. Okay, so looking north up to the Clare Hills, way there in the distance there, the Clare Hills. Looking across to Lochgar, somewhere over there, Slieve Phelim's, and then looking south to the Ballyhowras. So great county here, really rich, productive farmland. And these are the populations who've been living here, who have stones. There's lots of small little grave markers like this, rows of these little gravestones for families who couldn't afford to pay for a headstone to be erected. I mentioned Bolster earlier. The sun is very strong, so we can't see it very clearly. There's a Mernan headstone on his back, but this is a Bolster. You'll see him in a couple of other videos. We can tell it's him because he has a very distinctive style, and he does this ornate boss as well. And very often he signs them there at the bottom, and in fact it is signed there, right down there. It says Joseph Bolster. What year is on that? Get the torch. sunlight and cast the torchlight. January? No. Higgins of Bally something or other, who departed this life September 19th, 1836. Okay, so that's Bolts. Good 10 years before the famine. These round-headed ones that you're seeing here are all probably 1820s, 1830s. Similar to one we saw yesterday with a similar date. So if you're at one of the Peter Robinson families, these are the types of headstones people were putting up if they could afford them when your people left. Okay, talk again soon. Slán.